welcome back to Body Haven Soaps. My name is Darlene. I am the owner and creator of Body Haven Soaps, and the whole goal of this channel is to help fellow creators create. Now, in today's video, we are going to be going over making herbal hydrosols. Now, I used to buy hydrosols, but I lose control of the hydrosol in the point where I don't get to control what preservative is in it. So I did start to figure out how to make my own so that I had control and could match my branding with the type of preservative I used. So that's my main reason why I got into it. However, when you buy hydrosols, also you're going to have a hydrosol for chamomile. You're going to have a hydrosol for neem. And a lot of the herbs that I use actually don't come in a hydrosol either. So that's also another issue. But when I make my own hydrosols, I can do blends. So I don't have to have a bunch of different hydrosols to make one product. I can simply make one hydrosol with all of those herbs in it. Okay, so those are my two main reasons why I started making hydrosols for myself. Was I have control of the preservative, and I can make blends, and I can make fresh batches all the time. So I'm not having stuff stored for a number of months or anything like that. I make enough for what it is, the product I'm going to make. And then I have a smaller, they call it small batching, but it keeps things fresh. And, I find that important. If I use a hydrosol that sat on my shelf for 2 months, or I use a hydrosol that I just created, obviously I'm going to have a better stability there. So those are the reasons why I started making hydrosols. Now, there is a couple different ways that you can make a hydrosol yourself. One is with a pot, okay? And this is one of the things that I first started doing. Obviously we'd use a bigger pot. I just have this here, so I'm just going to demonstrate it because I'm not going to actually do this today. So essentially how you could make a hydrosol in a pot is you would put your herbal matter and your water to cover your herbs, make sure they're covered, into a pot. You put them onto the heat and you bring them to a light boil and then turn it down to simmer. You would then have, and you would have to have something that the bowl would sit on. You could have put the bowl in the middle. Now, I would make sure that you had like a metal lid or something on the bottom so it's not resting around the bottom, because you will break the glass, right, on direct heat. But essentially raise it up, put it in the center. Then you're going to take your lid, and it would preferably be one without a handle, and you'd place it upside down on your pot. Okay? Now you're going to put ice on top of your pot. As the vapors come up, they cool and then they drip down and the bowl catches your hydrosol. I found this to be messy, an extreme amount of work to do a small amount of hydrosols, and it just wasn't what I was looking for. But this does work. It's just a little bit less control of what's actually being collected. That would be the best way I could explain that to you guys. But you could try that method. There is lots of videos out there about this method if that is what you would like to try and do. Now, I've gone and I've purchased an at-home distiller. Okay? It is essentially what happens to make the hydrosol is inside we will put water, and I use distilled water just because I know we're distilling it, and you could use tap water theoretically, but I find the hard water build up and stuff like that. I don't want that in my machine, so I just use distilled water. I make sure that it is more shelf stable that way as well, and I understand the product. So I will put distilled water and my dried herbs into the vessel. What happens is this vessel heats up. There is cooling chambers up in the top part, which then collect and cool, and then they drip into the little pot that we will sit beside the machine to collect it. And I get a nice clean hydrosol. Now it takes about 4 hours to do a batch. So I will just set this up. It is controlled temperature. I don't have to watch it. I don't have to add ice to it or anything. I will set this up for the hydrosol that I need to make, and I just leave it run until it is complete. Now, a few things about these machines. Now, let me pull it apart here. They're very well fitted, so it is very snug fit on here. Okay, but a few things that I notice, stainless steel on the inside, so that's good. But in the top of here, they do have a charcoal filter, which would be okay if you were just making a distilled water. I don't leave the charcoal filters in here. I put this in here so I don't forget to talk about it. Because I'm starting with a distilled water, so I don't have to buy these all the time or anything. Now, if you were just making distilled water to drink, which you can with these things, you might want to have that charcoal filter in there. I choose not to have the charcoal filter. I feel like it absorbs a lot of the fragrance of my hydrosol, so I don't actually put that in there. And it does run without it. Okay, so pretty straightforward that way. You have your stop and your go button on there. There's a little light. Nothing too complicated about this. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do, you guys, is we are going to get our herbs in the pot. I am making a spray mist that I make for a family member to spray on their skin condition they have, psoriasis. So, and it seems to work really well, and they have asked me to make some more, so it's kind of perfect timing for the video. So, essentially you guys could make this as strong or as weak as you want. As far as herbs go, but when you're making a hydrosol, it actually takes a lot of herb to get a nice hydrosol. Ratio may change according to what you're making, so keep that in mind. Now, for this herbal extraction, I am going to put in calendula for its soothing of irritated skin. And I am going to do a full ounce of this, which is quite a bit because it's fairly light stuff. There we go. So I got an ounce of calendula that I'm putting in here. And you just dump it right in. Okay? I'm going to use marshmallow root for its healing properties. And I'm using half an ounce of marshmallow root. You can see it's quite a bit less because it's a denser herb. I am going to use Tahibou. This is a bark. It is very healing. If you've seen a video before, I've talked about the Tahibou bark a fair bit. And I had this skin irritation that I went to many dermatologists to get taken care of. I bought multiple different prescription creams. Nothing seemed to work. They would help, but they would not get rid of it. This stuff got rid of it, and it's never come back in 11 years. So, love this stuff. But we are going to put in a whole ounce of this as well. Okay, so an ounce of the Tahibou bark. Okay, and that is for its antibacterial and its healing properties. we are going to put in neem leaf. Now, neem leaf, this is a very good healing and so neem leaf is a very good healing herb, and it works great in a lot of healing balms, things like that. Neem oil really stinks, so I don't really like using too much of it. So if I make a healing salve or something, I will do extractions of the neem, and I will put that with my neem oil to try and lessen that smell a little bit, because the leaves do not smell like the neem oil. Okay, and I am going to put in half an ounce of the neem. I am going to put in chamomile flowers for also soothing of the itching and things like that. And I'm also using half an ounce of this, you guys. And then skullcap is the last herb that I am going to put in. It is a very good healer. It is an expensive herb, but it really does help with healing. And it's got a very nice odor to it. I actually really like the smell of it. And I put in half an ounce of the skullcap. So that is the herbs, but you guys could do whatever blends you want. You guys don't have to do a big herbal blend like this. You could just do lavender, you could do rose, you could do single herbs, you could do 2 or 3 herbs. This is something that I've created for a family member that they use, then they spray on their skin condition. Works phenomenal for them. So I will continue to make this for them. I don't actually sell this product. This is just something that I make for a specific individual. But creativity has no limits. So remember that. But this is just the basics of it. So you can see I've got quite a bit of herb in there. And it takes a fair amount of herb. Now on the inside of this pot there is a full line, so make sure you don't fill it over that amount. We're going to take a jug of distilled water. These lids always leak on me, so I like to take a paper towel because they're always over full. Okay, and I'm going to fill this to the fill line. And this is a 1 gallon size. You do not have to do this big of a batch. You guys can do a smaller batch in here. So keep that in mind. You can do half this amount, a quarter this amount. It just depends on how much you need of something. I'm doing a full batch. I'm just going to take a spoon and I'm going to put all of my herbs, because there is a fan in here and I don't want the fan to suck up dry herbs into it. So I get them all nice and wet and mixed around. Another thing I like about this is it's all temperature controlled. So it'll be one temperature. It's not going to be crazy amounts. Okay, so now that I have all of my herb moist so that it's not sucking up and blowing around in there, it's pretty simple. You just take this top and there's just a rubber seal. Oops. Try try not to dunk your plug in there. You make sure this is nice and snug on here. It's that simple. In the back, there is a place that the lid plugs into, which operates the cooling and the fan portion. So you are going to just plug that in. Okay? And then there is another port that we plug the electrical cord into, which I have here. Okay? Plug that in. Like so. So you simply take now your sanitized glass jug, and this has a rubber thing on the bottom. I really like the setup of this one. I will list this down below on for Amazon where I purchased this. It was I think $140 or something like that. It wasn't super expensive. I will put it in the description box below with a link to where I purchased it. But you just simply set it up like that, and then all you have to do, you guys, is turn it on. You'll hear the fan start to go, and all of the cooling chamber is working, and you just leave it run. That's it. Okay, I will bring this. Takes about a good half hour or so before you'll see any water start to drip, because it has to go through the process in here. So I will bring you back once this starts to drip, and I will show you how it's going. Hey guys, it has been about 35 minutes. We now have a liquid going into the pot here. So it takes about that long, 30 to 35 minutes, and all of a sudden you'll start to get your liquid coming out. And now it'll probably take about another 3.5 hours to do the full batch that I was doing. This whole room smells like a whole herbal distillery. Like, it is so fragrant in here. I wish you guys had smell-o-vision, okay? But it just simply, and I don't know if you guys can actually see, there, I think you can see a little bit better now. Okay, so now you guys can probably see a little better, but you can see the water coming out, and it's starting to fill up this pot. Okay, and it is just very herbal in here, you guys, but this is as simple as it gets. And you're going to get a clear liquid without the color in it, so sometimes this creates the desired. You can preserve it with your own preservative, and you could do blends and not have 50 different hydrosols sitting around. Alright, once this is done, I will bring you guys back. Guys, 3 hours later, and we have it all finished. It turns off, so you can see the lights off, turns off on its own, or you can push the stop button and this device will stop as well. And it has collected all of the liquid into here that smells absolutely, yeah, you can definitely smell all of the herbs in there and everything. Now, what I would do, you guys, is what I do is I have 1 gallon containers that I will put this into. Okay. And then I will preserve it. You can put it in your fridge, but being a hydrosol, it is only good for 3-4 days max. So you need to preserve it, and I would still keep it in my fridge. I make stuff as I'm going to use it because it's really, I can just set this up off to the side of my soap studio and have it run while I'm doing other stuff on the countertop here. Okay? But you can see how much we have of, you can see how much we have of the Herbal Hydrosol. So let's just unplug all of this so that I can show you what is left in here. Okay, as you can see, the top has the herbs stuck in there, but all of the moisture pretty much has come out of that hydrosol. So we've got, all we have left is that herbal mass in there. And what I will do with this is I will scoop this all out, and I will put it through a sieve and squeeze it out, and I will use this as an extract, not as my hydrosol, but I will squeeze what's left of the herbal mass, and I will keep this for making something else, or you can just simply discard it. Okay, but you can see how well that works. Okay, so pretty straightforward, easy to do. It's a little bit of a cleanup, but not horrible. I'll quickly show you here. You guys seen the top of that lid, what it looked like. Because I did this blend, I won't keep this pulp. But honestly, just with a paper towel, I cleaned it up that fast. There's a little bit left in there. I'll get rinsed out, and I will use, I can take this off and wash it, but it just cleans up. It's actually not as bad as it seems. But stainless steel, just clean it out. All right, so that's how easy it is to make your hydrosols, you guys. You can try the pot method. I just found you got such a small amount and it was kind of messy. I like this. I am going to leave this cool before I jar it. So I'm just going to leave this come to room temperature. It does cool coming through, so it's not very warm, but it's still a little warm. As you can see, the condensation and stuff. So I am going to just leave that at room temperature, then I will preserve it and store it in my fridge for use. Okay? And you could do this with anything. You could do this with, say with a lavender or a rose, and then you could put it in your diffuser and just use water as a diffuser rather than an essential oil. But I can tell you right now, my whole house, this is down in my soap studio in the basement, you can smell this upstairs. My whole house smells like this herbal blend, which isn't a horrible smell, so I'm okay with it. Okay? But that's how easy it is to use one of these machines. I will have some more guidelines for the Patreons in the Patreon site there, so a PDF of herbal blends and different things like that. And we do have a video coming up where I will show you how to preserve all of the extractions, but we'll do that at the end once we've gone through all the extractions so that I can show you. All right, so I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you try making a hydrosol or anything like that, just put it in the comments below so I know what you guys are doing. If there's things that you are interested in, put those in the comments below as well. All right. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day.